September 8, 1996. This was when this show was first released and first episode was aired. And many children back in the day, including I, were so thrilled of the sheer brilliance that this show have put. You can see that this is drawn by crayon on paper, but this might look familiar. Does that ring any bells? This came from this one, which I want to make a video of. And it is going to be on this one. Let us begin. Now let's technically look around this. Because, oh manny, this has brought back so much amazing memories. Just look at this. Now obviously this is from Blue's Clues. And this one is of course The Notebook. Many times we have seen this. This was something that most of you, including I, liked to own one. And this was the one we got here. And this is the normal notebook that they originally started off with many different hosts, like, you know, Steve, Kevin, Dorate, and South Korean host, which I don't know his name, I'm afraid. But we have watched this show on Nick Jr., and of course, you're Canadian, you'll watch this on Treehouse TV. But, wow. With all this, this just puts a tear in my eye. You've seen this, you know how it works. And everything on this one is just really just amazes me. Now, this is positioned like this because it's the only way for this to be safely shown like this without being falling over. And they also did this in the show as well when they used to do this. Now, in my hands, man, you could see that this notebook is actually extremely well made. Despite its appearance, it's actually well made. I actually was surprised to see how good this build quality is. It's actually as well made. Man, I miss build quality when things were like this. Man, the build quality was just amazing. I miss this type of build quality. Of course, everything now today, build quality is atrocious these days. But this, man, this makes me so sad. I miss those old times. And back when children's shows were well thought, they know what they're doing, made by people that knows what works and what doesn't work, and thought carefully. That makes me so sad. Now, let's take a look around the notebook here. There are many notebooks made throughout this show, and they always are different. Like the build quality that they used for the show. In Season 1, this notebook was made out of cardboard to start off with. For the entirety of Season 1. Then, partially into Season 2, through the last episode of Season 4, the material was changed to wood. And the holes for the holes you see here were also changed as well. When they first started off, it was 6mm holes, then moved to 7.9, and then 9mm. And also the spiral has direction changes. This one's going to the left. There's also some that goes to the right. And also some cosmetic differences, like the shade of green they have on the notebook is always different. Oh, wow. This is the back of it. See here, this is dated 1998. And the company that made this is Jakks and Flying Colors. That's the companies that make this notebook. And also, the writing on this one, on this part here, is extremely delicate, so it scratches far too easily. But it says version 2. I don't know what really is the difference with version 1 and version 2, other than what's done on the spiral. Now, for the spiral, version 1, the spiral will have a shiny gloss finish. This one is a matte finish. And for the spiral for version 1, there is another piece of plastic that is attached to one end of this that is also kind of extreme bent. Which most of the fans call it a crayon catcher. This one, it just doesn't exist. I don't know why. But that just does not exist. Yeah. Well, obviously these are dated in 1998, but there are some that are dated in 1999, which is actually no different. And there's also one that is version 2, dated 1999. Again, don't know the difference between one or the other. But instead of it being a sticker with writing on it, it'll actually have that printed on the plastic. It was very interesting. Now, I'll open this one up and show what the inside of it looks like. Now, obviously, we have yellow pages around this, but also this text here for all the Flying Colors notebooks. But only a few have this. Obviously, this is where you write your name. And this will only make sense for the United States. This is just for US. With Steve, it's just handy dandy notebook. But obviously, you live in the UK, it's a super duper notebook. Other than that, the name is it's just the same exact notebook. You write your name on it, but I'm not confident on doing that. I don't feel comfortable with that. But there's one other notebook that does have this, but I think this just ruins it. I don't have that one, but there's one that I do want to make that address of. And look at the pages, man. Wow. Smells very nice. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And on the back it says, "You just figured out Blue's Clues because you're really smart." Yeah. Now, on the pages, don't know if you could see it, but there, it looks like it's starting to decolor a bit, mainly on the edges of the paper. I don't know if you can truly see it, but it is starting to decolor a lot. And this might happen to your notebook as well. And this one, it looks like it's very extreme right there. Well, that's mainly for the fact that the sweat glands in our fingers and hands obviously do leak into these papers because these pages are laminated pages. Means that these actually have something layered on top of them. And they're meant to be washed. Anything you write on here can be washed away and cleaned away, so you can reuse these pages over and over and over again. Which I applaud this. This was a good idea, so I can go ahead and I'll explain this crayon later. I'll just draw something random, like say a clock, and I can wipe it away. and it can be used again. I applaud this change. And even though that the packaging does say 14 pages, but it only shows 7, that's because they cut the backside of the pages. But yeah, pages are laminated. But just, wow. Really brings back some fantastic memories with this thing. Now, for the crayons that this notebook will come with, there is one type of crayon, but it didn't came with the notebook with this one. Now, there are 3 different type of crayons. None of these came with this notebook. But the one that you'll get from the notebook with laminated pages, they come with a dry erase crayon. And that's this one right here. Again, this didn't came with the notebook. This is just a little bit of a demonstration casing. We'll clip into the notebook through its spiral. And that's how they often would do it in the show. That's the way they put in the crayon. I don't know if there was like a different type of crayon that this come with. This is from Crayola. You see, I put in my own attempt of a wrapper. It really wasn't like the greatest, but somehow gets the job done. This is far different to a normal Crayola crayon. This is just a normal one. Yeah, you can see it's just too loose. Now, what they used in the show is far, far bigger. It's a Crayola Jumbo. And it's actually the one they actually used in the show. And you can know this because when I put this in, it's a perfect fit inside. Again, I did tempt the wrapper myself, but it is very inaccurate, as you can see. Some of the stripes are in the wrong size. I did try my best, and it looked okay. I wouldn't call it great, but you kind of get the gist. So right here, I got to be careful when I handle this, because again, this has no crayon catcher. So unfortunately, it was that way. Now, of course, there are many other versions of this notebook out there. Of course, some of the specialized variants that the show have offered. There's also like the I'm only counting the ones from Jakks Pacific and Flying Colors. The Nature Notebook, the Nighttime Notebook, and the Treasure Hunt Notebook. Man, I would remember times when I was so little. I remember having some notebooks with me. Didn't have all of them, just some. But I unfortunately have lost all of them. And the reason why is because I would often do this, which the spiral, even though that was very impressive at how they put it in the new pages, and it was also kind of a blessing and a curse. Because when this is out of the way, that happens. And thus the notebook is gone. Many children and I used to do this. Of course, this was like the only way to put in new pages, what they do in the show. And of course, this have laminated pages. It really wouldn't be a good idea if they actually legitimately used construction paper, because obviously that's what they used. But it wouldn't be much of a good idea to put it as a toy, because then we'll have to buy a lot more construction paper than we usually do. So yeah, you can see this is the better option of the two. And of course, there is another alternative, which is what people would often go for. I will do a video on that later. I won't say what it is, but most of you Blue's Clues fans know what I mean. I do want to get at least my hands on some, so I can do like another video on those. The reason why most people would go for that approach is because the ones by Jakks Pacific and Flying Colors, these days, they are incredibly expensive. I mean, we're talking about like $90 for one of these. A lot way a lot more than what it would sell way back in the day. And I'm just so sad why they sell these like this. Because they're so well thought, well made. Why high cost? And of course, the ones that most people will opt to go for are the cheap alternative. But enough of that. Okay, so how did I end up getting this notebook? Well, I actually got this from a lot. And it wasn't that much money anyway. The seller probably didn't know how rare this is and how expensive it could be. Because of this, I had to buy it with this lot. And the lot contained this. Is this amazing condition blue plush. It's the tag. Here. It also says the information of how to properly wash this in a washing machine, because you know these plushes do get kind of dirty. But also these, of course, they are paw prints. With 3 of these, I think these came from the Play Along TV set, and 2 of these. This one is kind of wrecked. Yeah, there are some parts that are coming off of it, so I better be careful not to use that one. Just use this. I have these. So, this, added with this, $75. I did have to pay a little bit more for shipping, but when you look at it, with $75, I would rather risk it. Man. When I used to watch this thing on Noggin... Oh, everyone remember watching Noggin? Oh, man. That was like good on Nickelodeon right there. When they collabed with Sesame Workshop. I miss the old Noggin. Man. Now I just feel sad for everyone watching Nick Jr. these days. I just feel sorry for all those people. Man. When we see our friend used to draw on stuff like on the page, to thinking and all that, man, it is just sad and surreal. Oh, wow. This was just something that I just feel sad about. I'm glad I got this one back. This was one of the first few notebooks I had from Flying Colors, and now I got this one back. But wow. I'm just sad. This really just puts a tear in my eye just how awesome this show was, and sheer brilliance. They thought first, thought clearly, know what works and what doesn't work. Unfortunately nowadays, people these days working on children's shows, now they don't know what works and what doesn't work, and had to take a wild guess. That doesn't work. Man. What happened to all those good shows? This just makes me sad. I know I really need to stop saying that because that's just going to make it worse. Yeah. Old friend. It's been a while, old friend. My old friend.